Hello, Dr. Srees. Dr. Srees, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so let me
Yes,
introduce
yes,
you.
I am.
Okay. So let me introduce you first. So Dr. Srees Maji is a conservation scientist who works as a principal scientist in the Conservation Ecology Division of Salim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History in Coimbatore. His conservation experience includes long-term efforts to conserve the edible nest swiftlet in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the sustainable use of this species for livelihood generation and economic development. In addition, he is actively researching and conserving the country's other island endemic and threatened bird species. While researching cave dwelling swiftlets, he continues to explore India's cave ecosystems for their physical and biological features, which has fueled his fundamental interest in speleology and ornithology. Over to you, Dr. Siris.
Sir, thank you. I'll just share my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Uh,
Yes, we can see.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, all. I'm Shirish, and I'm very sorry for not being physically present there. But then I thank Director WII for giving me an opportunity to present online. So I'm going to talk about our initial efforts towards conservation of the Indian swiftlet in Maharashtra. And as during introduction, the chair said that we have a vast experience of studying swiftlets in Andamans. And after the successful conservation in Andamans, it was thought like what is happening to the swiftlets in Western Ghats. So we thought of starting understanding the issues there. And accordingly, this project was designed and completed. So what are swiftlets? They are basically cave-dwelling birds, which nest and roost in caves or cave-like areas, and they do echolocate. There is only other group of bird which can ecolocate is oil birds in South America. And these birds' specialty is they construct nest using their saliva, which is economically important and one of the most expensive natural resource. They're monogamous birds and they live in colonies and they're aerial insectivores. So why this study? When we looked at the literature, we understood that the population status of this bird in Maharashtra is really not clear, mainly because they are very difficult to identify. Like we all know that there are a lot of bird watchers across the country, but many of them still avoid looking at apodiforms because they are very difficult to identify in a small time of span. And there are a lot of vagrant records. So we thought of coming up with a conservation plan which will help us to understand whether there is any conservation required for the species or what kind of threats they are facing. So we thought of looking at the ecological aspects of the species and its population and distribution. So there were three objectives: to look at population and distribution, and look at breeding ecology, and identify the threats to formulate the conservation plan for the species. Uh, as I said, like their distribution in Maharashtra was very ambiguous. Like it was not clear because some literature says they are restricted to southern part of the Sindhudurg district, which is southern district of coastal Maharashtra, and few literature says they are all found up to Raigad. So that was the biggest confusion. And also Maharashtra has the biggest population, biggest colony of this bird, which is on a
Dr.
burnt
Series,
island in Vengurla Rocks. Hello.
please, your slides are not moving. Share full screen.
Uh, One second. My screen is shared.
Full screen.
Yeah, full screen.
Okay, now you just
Can you see?
try to move. Slide show.
Yeah, it's a slideshow.
So in the normal mode you have to exit slide show and then
Okay. Okay. Now you can see. Now?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So understanding their distribution ambiguity in the state, we decided to survey all the coastal districts of Maharashtra and the coastline, including the offshore islands. So first objective was to understand population and distribution of the species. The species is globally least concerned because all the swiftlets which produce edible nest, since the edible nest business is $1 trillion business globally, they all are kept outside the priority list internationally. And their trade in India and Sri Lanka is also known from the beginning. However, in case of Indian swiftlet, since it is endemic to India and Sri Lanka, there are only 13 breeding colonies are known. And because of the nest collection threat, the species is included in Schedule 1. And there is very less information available about their foraging and breeding sites, and very poor documentation is there about their habitat usage. So to understand population distribution, we initially looked into the available survey data about its population, and we also looked into the GBIF data, Global Biodiversity Information Forum, and based on that, we created a species distribution model, which helped us to understand the potential areas where the species can be present. And according to that, we conducted a survey, which is basically a road survey. Is these species, they either live underground for their roosting or nesting, or they are above canopies. So, and they are high-ranging species. So, the road survey is believed to be the best way to look at their distribution and identify them when they are foraging. So we had put efforts of 3,210 kilometers in this area with 350 survey points where we found FOD forms. Out of this, only at 11 locations we encountered Indian swiftlet. Uh, Sorry, my slides are little overlapping. After doing a survey, after finding them at 11 locations, then again we went for the climate model, and we understood that the species occurrence in northern Western Ghats is not much presently, and also in future the species is believed to be distributing more towards the southern Western Ghat part. And uh, the major climate factors which are affecting the present distribution of the species are presence of evergreen forest, and the predicted distribution will be is believed to be mostly affected by the seasonal temperature variation in the climate, which is because these are the aerial insectivores, and it is known that there are a lot of publications which talk about how seasonal temperature variation is going to affect the insect distribution. Then looking at their population survey, These birds, since they're colonial and cave dwelling, generally their populations are understood by nest count method, and we surveyed from right from the northern corner of Maharashtra, coastal Maharashtra, till the southern corner of coastal Maharashtra. We surveyed different potential sites where the species can breed, and we found them only in the Vengurla rocks. They are not found anywhere other than this place in Sindhudurg. So in Vengurla rocks, they are breeding at the Burnt Island and the nearby lighthouse, which is just less than 500 meters away from the Burnt Island. Burnt Island population of the species is one of the oldest known colony of the species. We have they were first estimated, the population was estimated here in 1862. And if you look at the graph of the Burnt Island population, you will see that the population is dwindling within a certain range throughout these years. So that is the reason it was earlier mentioned by last survey by Mahabal et al. As a K population, and we thought of really looking into the patterns and understanding why it was looked into that. Then looking at our own data and the previously known population trends, we conducted a we did a logistic population growth model, and which clearly showed us that the population has reached to its maximum capacity in this particular habitat, and it keeps dwindling. It will keep dwindling up to some few more decades, and then it might come down. And we have already published this data. Then coming to the second objective, the breeding ecology of the species,
Dr.
we
Series,
first looked
slides are
into the
not
breeding
moving.
chronology of the.
Dr. Series, slides are not moving.
Can you see now, sir?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we looked into the we sampled some of the nests to understand breeding chronology of the species, and these nests were observed periodically. And then we also analyzed the data using Mayfield program to Mayfield regression, which helped us understand that the species realized natality rate is very high, but their baby survival is also very high. In 2022, you see the survival rate is less. That we believe because of the habitat disturbance during the cyclone Taukte after 2021 breeding season. We can also see that the population had come down because of that, and that must have affected. That is our guess that it is because of that. Then we also mapped the breeding habitat of the species. We mapped the cave. Hello? Am I audible?
We can hear you.
Am I audible?
You are audible.
Yeah. So we also mapped the cave, and if you see on the right corner, the 2D map of the cave, the swiftlets are distributed across this cave. Since it's a single cave and the birds are distributed across, we could not really put any relation of existence or presence of the species and the cave structure. Actually, some of these slides are not there. Then I come to the next slide. I'm very sorry for the technical errors. Then we looked into the foraging habitat and the extent of the bird. These birds are known to forage for 25 to 30 kilometers away from their breeding site. That is their foraging range. And there is an hypothesis which talks about there is a difference in their foraging ranges during breeding and non-breeding season. So we just wanted to understand how it occurs in case of Indian swiftlet. because that will be a very critical data when we prioritize their foraging areas. So we used different methods, like we followed them by road, wherever they go, we followed them, and whenever we see them randomly, opportunistically, we noted their presence in that particular area foraging. We also put the road transits, and we surveyed through different habitats. This particular study told us about that these birds, they do not forage, they do not go away more than 16 kilometers from their breeding site. And this foraging range, doesn't really differ between the breeding and non-breeding season. They were never seen beyond 16 kilometers from their breeding site. And when we looked into their foraging activities, there also we saw that their foraging activities, especially the feeding attempts, they do not differ between breeding and non-breeding seasons. Then I should go to, then coming to the objective 3, these birds are known for their nest, and which is a valued product, and that is why the trading of swiftlets is there across their distribution, and India and Sri Lanka are no exception. So we wanted to know what is the nest collection threat at present the species is facing. And we also identified the potential predators of the species near their breeding place. And we could see, like, there are really several potential species are there. Some of them we directly observed them feeding on these birds, like peregrine falcon. We have seen them hunting swiftlets. Then we also try to understand what is
Please sum up within a minute.
In this manner.
Please sum up your talk within a minute.
Perspective. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we understood that people are really ignorant about the species. They don't really know about the trading of the nest. So that proves that there is no illegal trading of the nest is going on in the area. Then we also conducted a stakeholder meeting where we fortunately had a local DFO and collector coming and participating in it, which gave us an understanding that there are several threats to the species, and gave a overview that the proposal came from the DFO that the Indian swiftlet can be declared as a district bird of Sindhudurg, so it can be protected well. And since the carrying capacity of their habitat is almost over, the ex-situ conservation may be the better option to think about if we have to conserve them. And it was also proposed that the burnt island can be declared as a conservation reserve, which will help to conserve the species. And based on all this understanding, the Indian swiftlet conservation plan was drafted, taking a holistic approach. Mainly it was looking at the goal to ensure survival of the species with the different objectives related to research, policy, and outreach. The gaps were identified, and the strategies were drawn, and they were proposed in the plan, with additional proposal of mainstreaming Indian swiftlet in different government programs. With this, we also did a lot of awareness work, a lot of local news coverage to let people know what is happening in the area and what kind of resources or species dwell there and why they should be conserved. We also got 2 documentaries done in a local language and in a national language for the awareness purpose. Then basically this project came out with the initial conservation efforts for the species conservation, and laid a knowledge foundation for further conservation action. There's a lot, and a roadmap is drawn through this project. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Siris. Be on the line. There are few questions for you. So I will request now all the presenters, please come on the dais. So the Bittu questions are for you. This is from Sujit Patil. Are there any method to ascertain details about a species of herpetofauna which have gone extinct recently, say last 100 years in a given area apart from literature?
Well, this is a good question. So, this has two different answer. So, in the last 100 years, if you are saying, if you are asking about unknown species, so then we will not be able to say how many species we are losing in recent 100 years, if some species are going extinct. But if you are asking about some known species, if it is going or extinct in the recent years, so for that we have to revisit its specially the type locality and its distribution area, if we can detect that animal. Even also we can't ignore the literature if continuously that species is reporting, or if it is not reporting continuously after the description, then we must visit its type locality. So in our study also we have found lots of that kind of species, like after description, after its original description were not reported, not much reported. So, but there method for the species which were extinct long back, so which we call ancient DNA, from that we can say or identify which species, or if some species are already extinct. I hope I answered the question.
Another question is from Ajay Saxena sir. Tropical wet evergreen and rainforest tree canopy hosts to microhabitat for many herpetofauna species. Looking on ground and lower middle canopy, we may missing out many more species which are to be. Sir, please, if you can elaborate.
Yeah, the wet evergreen top canopy you don't look at, then you will be missing many species which are actually inhabiting that area. And what is your future plan for that? That's a very big area.
Yes, so this is true what you are saying. So there are species which used to lay eggs under tree canopies. So we have recorded such kind of species also. This is called Nasutic Zella species. So far a lot of species are described from Northeast India and also our neighboring region. And there are other agamete lizard also which use the canopies of higher trees, large trees. So yes, there are chances that if we put more effort in the canopy, that ecosystem, we may get many more other known or unknown species. Thank you.
Thank you, Bittupan. This is all for you. Now I will request Amrit. What is the current estimated population of Batagur Baska? Is there any ex situ conservation efforts on this species, like nest relocation or using of artificial incubation techniques?
Yes, sir. The estimated population is less than 40 individuals in the wild, and already the West Bengal Forest Department and Bangladesh Forest Department, they are actively involved in ex situ conservation. West Bengal Forest Department has approximately 397 individuals. Bangladesh Forest Department have approximately 500 individuals, and they are reintroduced 50 individuals in the wild. But in Bangladesh, they found in the past 10 years, they got 20 wild population in the Bangladesh part of Sundarban. And there is no nesting population till now we recorded in the past 30 years in the natural environment.
Thank you. Thank you. This is all for you. Now I will request Dr. Anukul. It is from Dr. G.S. Rawat. He has complimented. Nice presentation.
Thank you,
Do you think his speed here is sensitive to successional changes in floodplain grasslands like Saccharum spontaneum to Saccharum bengalensis.
Sir, can you read it again? Do you think speed here is sensitive to successional changes in floodplain grasslands? Sir, yes, sir. They are sensitive, and if you see when there is a new grassland, so the first successional stages, the first you see Saccharum munja, then slowly Imperator cylindrica, and if there are more deposition of soil, then the final stages we can see Saccharum narenga and Saccharum bengalensis in other grasses, and that is true for hispid here also.
Just, I wanted to add that Saccharum spontaneum, which forms the early successional
Yes.
stage, at young stage, I have seen more hispid pellets in the young stages of Saccharum spontaneum when it is just subsequent to flood, So I gathered from your presentation that you have seen more pellets in the Saccharum Naranga area.
Yes,
What
sir.
is your observation?
Sir, which place you have seen this?
Manas.
Yes, sir, in Manas.
Manas and Dudhwa as well, along the margins of the, young Saccharum spontaneum stands. Very fresh growth of Saccharum spontaneum, shorter ones.
Yes, sir, they feed on Saccharum spontaneum also. We have also seen that we have gone up to genus level for our metagenomics analysis. In field also we observed that they are mostly feeding on Saccharum grasses that I have mentioned in also that.
Thank you.
The next question is from Prashant Mahajan. Just curious to know if they perform the coprophagy.
I have not seen, but hares and rabbits are known to do coprophagy. Most probably hispid are also doing the same.
The second one is now many pellet groups were observed for estimating the decay rate.
How many?
How many? Yeah.
Around 45.
Okay. The next one is from Sujit Patil. Are cropland, especially sugarcane, a possible habitat for hispid here in Tarai Arc landscape? Where they sampled for your study?
I don't think so, because they are very specialized. Even within the grassland habitat also, they are not found in Imperata, and they cannot move to sugarcane field areas. They're highly sensitive.
Next question is from Kumar Ankit. What should be the strategies to restock the population of rare hispid here, in western part of Tarai Arc landscape? Please comment on conservation and acceptance regarding managing exclusive habitat for the hare.
At present, we actually don't know how many hispidiids are there. So our first we will look at their population size, and then we can take other decisions on the species.
Thank you, Anukul.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Dr. Siris, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first question, only the signatures are there, no name. As indicated, there was no seasonal variation of foraging activity of swiftlet in the study. Any specific region focused to no cause?
Sir, can you please repeat the question, sir? It's not clear.
As indicated, there was no seasonal variation of foraging activity of
Right.
swiftlet.
Between breeding and non-breeding season. Hello?
Can you see the
Yeah.
okay, I am repeating. As indicated, there was no seasonal variation of foraging activity of swiftlets in the study. Any specific region
Right.
focused to no cause?
That may be potentially it might be because of availability of food, and they may not be going very far since there is a food available within the small range of foraging. Generally, they were seen like foraging in the same range, and that may be connected to the either they are very opportunistic in their selection of insect species for foraging, or there is lot of availability of their food. That's what potentially I understand from this.
Okay, the next question is from Ajay Saxena sir. Good to see the work of SACON on swiftlet is going on. Keen to know about the progress of ex situ conservation of edible nest swiftlets in Andaman, which we started in 2008 onwards.
Sir, at present it is at halt because of no grants available. But then we will be soon looking into restarting the efforts again.
Okay, the last question is from Clement Ben. So I will request you to please read it out.
Yeah, Dr. Girish, actually, during my probation days in Sindhudurg, actually, there was some organized poaching cases against this softlet swiftlets. So we apprehended this
Right.
poachers too. What is the status now, and any intervention from the FD side, as you suggest?
Sir, if I am right, you are asking about present status of nest harvesting, right? Or nest collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So presently, sir, we see there is a no nest collection going on because we did a survey for 4 years continuously. We did a study, and we saw the old nests were there, and whichever nests were not there on the wall, they were fallen on the ground. So mostly, what we understand, this is an indicator that there is actually nobody's coming and collecting the nests. So I can say with my experience of understanding this species is right now there is no nest collection going on.
Okay, thank you, Siris. Now I will request Chairman sir to have.
Thank you,
His
sir.
words.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry for technical errors, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Adhikari. Now I'll pass on the mic to my co-chair, Dr. Amit, for his quick remarks.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all. I think great presentation since yesterday. Specifically today, all the four presenters' topics were the species are difficult species, lesser worked on. So one by one, if I can quickly just say, Mr. Barua, I must congratulate you. I mean, you have looked into extensive areas. There's a lot of still areas to explore, and very few people have been working on herpetofauna like what you had presented. So congratulations to you. Second, I think Batakur Baska, Mr. Amrita, I think that is one species of interest of mine as well. I think Sundarbans, the Sundarban Tiger Reserve has a lot of ex situ. I thought you would mention some of that in your slides you could have shown. There's a lot of work going on. And I think, yes, during our field, some of the field visits, some of the fishermen have said that they have been encountering sometimes, maybe in the Bangladesh side. But yes, a lot of extensive surveys have to be done. It's not that easy to do those surveys what you mentioned. But you have looked into your objectives actually have looked into many aspects, and I think this needs to be continued further. So congratulations to you. Dr. Anukul, I think Hispidare again is a very difficult animal to track, but the amount of efforts which you have made across the landscapes, I think is commendable, and I would like to also congratulate you. And there are a lot of other areas into which you may look, especially from the habitat suitability point of view or its presence. So I think that is also commendable work. And last but not the least, Dr. Sirish, I think swiftlet, I think your areas of urban survey are also very, very difficult areas. I remember during our field days, I think we would be sleeping in the caves, and we would see. We have some of the areas in Wayanad where we have swiftlets, and this is again it's quite threatened. Lot many times it goes unnoticed, the amount of poaching being done or how the nests are taken away. But I think there's also commendable work and needs to be continued. And of course, wherever there are efforts to do ex situ conservation needs to be taken forward. Thank you very much to all four of you. Thanks to Wildlife Institute of India and especially Director and his team for putting up a great show. I think after a long time, it was very vibrant 2 days and very energetic presentations across 2 days. So thank you. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. Quickly, I just would like to say a few things. Like one is, since yesterday we are seeing and we have seen a lot of presentations, very good presentations, excellent work being done in different parts of the country. Only thing is, this should mean something. Ultimately, the user agencies, all the states concerned, be it a tiger reserve, a national park, or any forest area where the studies are conducted, the findings should find place in the relevant chapters of these documents actually, be it a tiger conservation plan, management plan, or maybe working plan. And the documents should be appended in those documents. That is one. And then so far as the 4 presentations in this last technical session is concerned, excellent presentations, though the species discovered or studied are smaller in size. When we talk about, we are used to talking about tigers, elephants, whatnot, bigger size, bigger bodied animals. But of all these, animals studied are, species studied are of immense importance when we talk about the ecosystem as a whole. Well, keeping the time in mind, I think we officially need to close this session here. But before doing that, I think all the young scientists and all the presenters, the researchers, they deserve a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone.
May I please request Dr. Ruchi Badola, Dean, Wildlife Institute of India, to give. Sir, just a moment. So Dr. Ruchi Badola to give the session chair, Dr. H.S. Negi. Dr. Amit Malik. And Dr. Adhikari. Okay, so with this we have come to an end to all our technical session. Just give us 5 minutes before we start the concluding session. We just have to rearrange the stage. So 5 minutes we'll get back to the concluding session.
Shankar.
So till the time the dais is being organized, I just want to give you a brief, all of them. You might be seeing all these things from the beginning as well as in the thing. This ARS, a big contribution has made from our sponsors. So A&S Creation has been the gold sponsor for this seminar. So we had, before we started the seminar, we started looking for sponsorship. So we had 3 categories: gold, silver and bronze. So A&S Creations came up with a gold sponsorship. And then we had a joint silver sponsorship from Vectronics and Kadiback. Many of you might be using Kadiback camera. I'm not standing here and advertising for any company or anything. I'm just telling you the sponsorship. So Kadiback and Vectronics, I think Dr. Bilal and Dr. Ramesh are the major users of Vectronics. Okay, so and then we had a bronze sponsorship from Ahuja Sons. So Ahuja Sons is doing a major contribution through the Pasmina Certification Center. So a big hand to all the sponsors. We also got contribution from Gene Bio. Gene Bio supplies chemicals to those people who are working in the labs. So Gene Bio also supported this. So together we managed to arrange whatever sir had given me the target, more than 50% of it we could manage to arrange. But with the input from ministry, we have exceeded the target, sir. If you take that into account and give me the concession. Okay. So we have come to we will start the concluding session. May I please invite Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Chairman, Training Research and Academic Council of Wildlife Institute of India, to take to the dais. I also invite Director WII, Sri Virendra Tiwari. I invite Dr. Ruchi Badrola, Dean, and myself. Sir, with your permission, can we initiate the
Yeah,
proceedings?
Please.
So, to begin with, Vishnu, so we have to give the gift to track chairman. Vishnu has been terribly busy for last half an hour. You will get to know why she's so busy. So, sir, I would request Director WI to welcome track chairman with a gift. Sir, for photo. Well, following our usual practice, we have had a very good gathering this year. I mean, extremely good gathering yesterday. Of course, the event was something different, but the momentum has been kept up. And I request some of our guests to give their comments. To begin with, I request Dr. P.K. Mathur, my teacher, and when I joined the institute as a student, he was my teacher, and then when I joined as a researcher, he was the research coordinator. Then when I joined as a faculty, later he became the dean. So I request Dr. P.K. Mathur to speak few words about this. Sir, please.
Good evening, Namaskar. Respected Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Chairman TRAC, Shri Tiwari Sahab, Director WII, Dr. Ruchi Badola, Dean, Dr. Vivash Pandav, Research Coordinator, distinguished guests, field managers, senior and serving and retired forest officers, researchers, students, and my colleagues. First of all, I am not a guest. I am a part and parcel of this institute. And I am glad that I am part of this 35th ARS. As Dr. Pandav mentioned, many of you may not be knowing. So I was with the institute. We started this ARS in a small hall in classroom situation in FRI when we used to be there. Then we started doing it in big hall, convocation hall, auditorium of FRI. And then this is the third venue within this campus. The whole library upstairs used to be a venue. Your badminton court used to be a venue. And finally we moved, and for last maybe 15, 20 years we are in this hall. So I personally feel that I have witnessed all. I am one of the fortunate member or persons. There are some other persons like Dr. Rawat sitting here, my colleague, and some other senior managers coming. Dr. Rahmani has been coming from the beginning. Wesley, I can see the researcher. So first ARS, I remember he was the researcher in FRI building. So this is an important event. And the purpose of this event was to review the progress. You know that we are having the Training Research Academic Council chaired by Dr. Gopal. So one of the meetings of TRAC is coincided with ARS. So directly the first-hand review of progress of all research can be carried out through this ARS. And because like universities and other places, our researchers are spending most of the time in field. They are hardly for 1 or 2 months in the headquarters. So this is the time we have been using for this ARS. They have been coming, people have been using the word showcasing, dissemination, review of progress, and also giving them wonderful opportunity for capacity development. So from the first year itself, you are allowed to make presentation, and in the August gathering like this, you are allowed to speak, and so you develop your own confidence of research presentation. We had something like 7 sessions and probably 33 presentation, and there were 2 or 3 presentation with double researchers and 28 posters. The size of ARS has grown. And it is not only now we are having this annual research seminar. Many of you are aware there was internal research seminar and large number of presentations were covered earlier also. Important thing is maybe 700, 800 people witnessing, watching this program, including your live streaming going on. So it is very important activity. And I am sure Dr. Pandav, as the research coordinator, must have started preparations 3 months or 4 months ago, and all researchers might have come back from field, consulting supervisors. So it's a process which is happening, and and finally for 2 days you are having this program. One thing which I would like to say, because Dr. Pandav asked me a little while ago, that since I am witnessing from the beginning in different role, as a PI supervisor, then research coordinator, then dean, and now as a guest. I recall our first director, Pawar Saab, as well as first chairman, that time we used to call RAC, Dr. Ranjit Singh. We used to call one research priority criteria and metrics, because most of the projects at that time was funded by our grant in aid. Situation has totally changed in last 38, 35 ARS. Now I think most of the projects are externally funded, and probably there is hardly little grant in it. So we used to have a research priority criteria matrix. First probably was prepared in somewhere in 1987. Then there was a revision around 95, 99 somewhere. And I'm not sure at this moment what is happening. But what we are witnessing here, we have moved from what is called species-oriented research, talking only about maybe behavior of tiger or leopard or elephant or something, including like Dr. Panda was doing studies on Olive Ridley, or Wesley was doing study on some other in South, this study. So we have moved from species-oriented research, population assessment, community assessment, and finally the ecosystems, whether it was forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, wetland ecosystem, river ecosystem, or now coastal and marine ecosystem. And from this ecosystem, I will say probably last 15, 20 years, everyone is speaking in his presentation or her presentation, the landscape, riverscape, seascape. And what we have witnessed yesterday and today, large river systems, Ganga system, west coast, east coast, and whole Himalaya, whole Tarai Arc landscape, and we are also talking of transboundary landscapes. So we have moved from that very simple studies on species to a very complex studies on threatened species, threatened ecosystems, and landscapes, including the transboundary landscapes. What I have started realizing, wildlife science used to be a very simple discipline 30, 40 years ago. Today it has become multidiscipline, multi-scale, multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder. and many of your presentations were showing that. Obviously, in last couple of years, the emphasis has moved from forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem to wetlands, rivers, coastal and marine ecosystem, genetic diversity, and very recently on the species recovery. Human dimension, from very beginning, Pawar Saab and other senior members were emphasizing, and I think many of our researchers' projects are having integral component of human dimension, and that was evidently reflected. Many research projects were trying to show how methods have been developed, because we were not having our own Indian situation methods. You are well aware that in the leadership of Dr. Rajesh Gopal and in collaboration with WIA, we were able to develop all India tiger monitoring protocols for co-predators, prey, and habitat. And likewise, yesterday we had a very detailed presentation by Dr. Bilal about population estimation of elephants, and where he was talking about 11 different projects, different methods or so. So population estimation is one, and development of field-based techniques, whether it's population estimation or something else. I think the technology use has changed from remote sensing and GIS. I see lesser use of remote sensing and GIS now, which used to be almost every project at one time. Now, more telemetry, satellite telemetry, camera trap, drones, DNA, molecular biology techniques, and even acoustic sonography, and even trace and elements and things like that. So what I'm trying to say, that the research priority criteria of the institute, the research projects were reflected adequately, and wide range of topics, themes, and disciplines were covered, including environmental impact assessment. My last 2 years of retirement, on my desk, I started getting files of developmental projects. And now you can see what type of developmental projects are being referred to WIA, and how our researchers and projects are trying to cater the requirement of the ministry, user agency, and things like that. So there is a constant movement of progress or evolution of research, which is very evident. Many people have already congratulated researchers, supervising faculty about excellent work. Remarkable, I will say. I have witnessed every presentation since yesterday morning. Every presentation was of very high quality. If you compare with previous batches, Wesley will agree that PowerPoint, first we might be having overhead projector sheets, then even on the PowerPoint we will have very cluttered, very small font, very, the contrast color, quality of slides was excellent, communication was excellent, confidence level was highest. And that type of training you have received from your faculty, so faculty, supervising faculty, and you all deserve congratulations and compliments for that. Yesterday we had wonderful program in the morning with our Wildlife Week, then presentation by Dean summarizing the whole research gamut of WII in 20 minutes. Wonderful presentation by Dr. Ruchi. You have seen that how efficiently Dr. Pandav, Vishnupriya, and other all faculty members have organized everything here. Your hospitality, your comfort, your food, everything. So all of them need, I think, compliment, and I should mention that. One thing many people were asking, commenting today, yesterday, that plant studies are not visible or evident. One thing is that maybe some of the projects have been covered into internal research seminar, IRS, and many of the presentations were covering what is called habitat component and all other aspects. One thing which I would like to say, I was recently associated with the preparation or revision of National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, aligned with KMGBF, Kunming Mountain Global Biodiversity Framework. So there is a target of 30% terrestrial and coastal marine diversity by 2030. So I think many of the research presentations were contributing towards OECM. One component, species recovery, we have started, good work being done, but there is one important aspect is lacking. I think we need to make some attention to that, how we can restore degraded ecosystems. So eco-restoration is one. Just last year there were presentation on invasive and alien species. This year I think we have missed that. So that is another thing. So I will not like to take more time. I have already spoken more, longer. Thank you very much for inviting me. Congratulations to Director, Dean, Research Coordinator, my faculty colleagues, and everyone. Thank you very much.
So in 1993, I passed out from here, MSc. So the day after our exam, the new batch had joined, where our canteen is there, there is a culvert. So I was sitting on that culvert, I saw the junior batch, the fourth batch of MSc. A lot of tall students were there. Most of them were very tall. So I will call upon one of those tall students who is with us, Dr. M.D. Madhusudan, to speak a few words.
Thank you, Pandu. And I said something wrong. Yeah. I'm among teachers.
I see what you're pointing out. My wording could have been
Sorry,
clearer.
there's problem with the smartphone.
Soleil's 1989.
Just give me a moment. Okay, sorry. So, I'm among teachers. I'm among people who have who are luminaries in this field, who've led the path, who are pioneers, and I'm also, like Pandu was saying, this is a homecoming of sorts. It's a place where I learned a lot of, I mean, most of what I know, and it's not just what I learned, but also a lot of inspiration that really is not something that comes only from the classroom. It comes from the people you're around and the kind of things that you learn about how people relate to this entire field. So I would like to say something from a much more of a personal standpoint. It is about the RS, but I think I'd like to see this in terms of my own personal journey, because I think many of you, my assumption is that I think many of you are likely to share this, regardless of how senior or how junior you might be, which is that many of us have got into this field with a very deep love for nature, a curiosity about it. And I think that's really what has brought us to this place, WII. And over the 2 years that I spent as a student here, which others are doing as researchers for far longer, I think what has changed is that our curiosity often and our love has transformed into a concern for the whole set of natural heritage that is hanging in the balance, and we really see ourselves as being able to do something to help protect and steward this entire wealth. And I think one of the things that we acquire here is science. And it's been on display. I think it's been a wonderful 2 days of display in terms of what science is capable of and what it can do. And like we were taught, we were taught how to gather data, how to analyze the data, and how to interpret it as a tool that would enable us to make this journey from curiosity to conservation, and curiosity to concern, and help in conservation. And science was a very integral and important part of this. And what is on display 30 years later is that this has expanded manifold. And there are a whole set of technologies that have come in. There are a whole set of tools that have become available. And there are newer analytical approaches. So everything has expanded. And that opens up a huge set of possibilities. So I want to focus a little bit on what I felt would be useful this is a more reflective stuff. I think many people have very rightly pointed out to the wonderful things that have been on display here. But I think there are some reflections I would share with the view that I think it would be very useful for us, regardless of where we are, to keep certain things in mind. And one of them is this, that science has been really valuable, and I think we have now a huge arsenal at our command to take conservation forward. But I think the other very important thing that I learned in this place is that all that science is built on the foundations that are a lot more humble, but a lot more important, which is the foundations of natural history. I think we had fantastic natural historians when we were students here, and it was that inspiration. I think the ability to understand what data to gather, how to gather this, how to make sense of an analysis, and how to interpret this can only be done, I think, in the light of natural history, in the light of understanding things in a much more integrated way. And I think as it becomes possible for us to gather more and more and more data and analyze it in more and more ways, what we also have to realize is that we are taken farther and farther and farther away from what actually brought us into this field. And that is something that I think each of us should really think for ourselves what we would really like this to be. Natural history, the science and positivist science that tries to emphasize quantification, analysis, is reductive in the sense it takes us along it helps branch further and further and further. And now we have 100 different ways of looking at the same thing. But then, like a river, if you are a delta, that is fine, you're going into the sea, but otherwise you really have to think of all these streams of knowledge coming back. And this has to integrate. They have to become tributaries, and this has to be a confluence of some sort. And I think that confluence can only be natural history. And I think we should always, regardless of how high we fly, we should not forget the flowers at our feet, in the sense that that's really what natural history is. Head in the clouds is fine, but feet on the ground is essential. And I think that's something we should all keep in mind as we go forward. And I think here it is, E.O. Wilson has said this, we are drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. And I think that is very much the truth of our times. There is formidable amounts of data, but I think we are not very much wiser in terms of being able to know how to stem the loss and decline of biodiversity globally. And with that wealth of information also comes a poverty of attention. The more and more and more we try to find something, I think the less and less and less time we can give to something. We might be talking about coexistence between species, and to actually see this manifest, not just as data points, but actually as interactions, as experiences, as lived experiences, is vitally important. So I think against this large canvas as we are in this pursuit of universal truths and seeking science and policy, I think the other thing that also we are often humbled by is that both nature and society are incredibly complex. And essentially, the way conservation unfolds is necessarily political. And in that political place, you may seek universal truths, but ultimately you will have to kneel down on the ground and meet conservation. And when you have to kneel down, the local history, the context, and positionalities we bring are going to matter a lot more. Universal truths are fine, but I think we really also have to understand that there is, along with the universal, we really also have to keep going back to the local and even possibly the hyperlocal, because I think so much of what we have heard even in these presentations is that every place has its very unique, it may have the same species, it may have the same management agency, it may have the same production requirements and growth needs, but every place has its own individual separate interpretation and possibilities. The challenges differ, the opportunities differ, and I think we really have to find a way of integrating this universal with the local. And finally, I think there are a lot of hopeful stories that we have seen about recovery of nature and so on, but overall, I think the reason all of us still remain and are continuing to put more and more effort is that still broadly, nature is in decline. And I think there, in the kind of work we are doing, as we get pulled more and more into things that are not of our choosing, where we have to be doing the science or responding to requirements or needs that are not completely of our own choosing, we should really ask ourselves, who do we want to be? I think there is a very important role for conscientious objection as well as pragmatic engagement. I think, as Sule said, there are a whole set of empirical foundations to conservation biology, but it's also a crisis discipline that has deep normative foundations. So I think there is no alternative but to take sides. And I think in the taking sides, we really have to decide who we want to be, whether we want to be conscientious objectors to the things that stand in the way of conservation, or we want to pragmatically engage and perhaps even cede ground. That is an open question, and I think all of us will stand in different places there. So I just wanted to share some reflections rather than comment directly upon the presentations that were done. Thank you for inviting me and for giving me a chance to share this.
Thank you so much. I now invite somebody who has been a former diploma trainee of our institute, and after his diploma he has been very closely associated with the institute, whether he was in Assam or he is in NTCA. He has been very closely following our work and what we have been doing. May I request Dr. Vaibhav Mathur of NTCA to give his views on this ARS.
So good evening everyone, respected Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Director WI, Dean WI, Research Coordinator, Senior Forest Officers, researchers, colleagues present here. At the outset, I must thank the Director WI to have invited the entire team of NTCA to this ARS. It's an icing on the cake that in this particular ARS I have all my mentors also, Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Dr. Negi, Sanjay sir, Dr. Amit Malik sir, Dr. P.K. Mathur, whose enthusiasm is still unmatched. I've not seen a faculty who is as enthusiastic in teaching or explaining. I still remember our days in the diploma. We used to get up at 4 in the morning for a tiger conservation planning exercise, roam around the field the whole day, come back at 11:30, and Dr. P.K. Mathur used to be waiting in the conference hall to debrief us. So it's absolutely amazing working with the set of people who are all here. So I won't speak too much on the presentations. Sir has already reflected upon what has happened, but just a few suggestions. The presentations over a period of time have definitely evolved, as has already been made out that newer and newer technologies, software is being used not only for the work, even for the presentations. They were extremely impressive. But just a few thoughts on the way the outputs and outcomes are being presented. Because me and my colleagues here, whether it's Hemant or Harini here, we are sitting in that hotbed or rather hot seat from where we have to take the findings of what you all do to the people who are taking the decision, who make the call. So we need that particular management intervention to factor in very clearly. So in some of the presentations, what we felt was that while the recommendations and suggestions were very apt, but they did require a kind of bolstering from the management point of view, which would probably come if you have sufficient discussions and interactions with the concerned stakeholders. Some of them looked a little textbook, which is fine in its own way, in its own sense, but to strengthen the recommendations further, you need to bolster them through these interactions so that what you present is actually realistic and implementable at the policy level, can be factored in the policy level in the long run. The other aspect which we thought would need a little bit of strengthening was the outreach of most of your findings, the extension part. Most of the research, extremely good, very applied, management oriented, but how do you take it forward to the field? Just a few weeks back, we were in fact discussing the tiger conservation plan of the Manas Tiger Reserve. Dr. Negi sir also mentioned that link when he was chairing the session. So we were quite hard pressed to find details of the occupancy and distribution of the hispid hare at Manas. But what was presented by Anukul today shed a lot of light on what the hispid hare ecology and behavior is in Manas. So I would request all of you to share this data, to share your findings, to take it forward. It has to ultimately reach the field so that it can be implemented in a routine management intervention through wildlife management plans and tiger conservation plans as the case may be. The other interesting development which the research coordinator pointed out was the sponsorship. I am seeing that for the first time. The same thing needs to be factored even in wildlife research now. You're all probably aware that funding is gradually drying up. Point was made by the dean also that the in-house grants of the Wildlife Institute of India has now completely dried up. So we need to look at these alternative options to actually fund our research. But in today's day and age, we also need to be careful because nothing comes at face value. We need to understand the hidden agendas behind everything. So while getting those sponsors and donors for your research, do keep that in mind. At the same time, I would also urge all of you and the members of the Wildlife Institute of India and the director not to completely give up on the project proposals which we think of and submitting them to the ministry. In fact, yesterday I was having a discussion with the NTCA Tiger Cell also that how the proposals themselves have dried up. Now in the ministry we've been hearing a lot of things that we don't have an appetite to utilize funds. That's what we hear, whether it's the Project Tiger scheme or whether it's the grants in aid to the NTCA, we are being told we don't have an appetite to utilize funds. So to actually counter this particular viewpoint and opinion, we do need to keep on submitting project proposals. We shouldn't say we'll not get any funding, nothing is going to happen. Let us not adopt a defeatist attitude. Let us keep on thinking, giving ideas, submitting proposals. Funding will come. We need to convince the powers that be only if we have a particular proposal in hand to show it to them. Lastly, I would just like to reflect upon Qamar Qureshi sir, long association with him. This is his last ARS since our probation days, whether it was the wildlife techniques through the IGNFA and then of course the wildlife diploma itself. He has always been there explaining us the math behind the wildlife. So that particular relation continued when we were in the field as DFO, because what this institute does, what these kind of engagements through the ARS, IRS do is that they really strengthen the link between field level officers and the research which goes on here. So which is another aspect which I would say needs to be strengthened and taken to its erstwhile level. So we've been continuously engaging, at least in my small 18, 19 years of service. I've always somehow been engaging with the Institute, especially Kamar sir. This is his last ARS. I wish him the best for his for the future, and I hope that the advice and the guidance would continue to make us continuously evolve and make us even better. Thank you. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Director. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Not last ARS on the 60th year, not the last ARS. It will continue. So, when I was going through the abstracts, I must say that you gave me 2-3 sleepless nights. I normally go to bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock, but I had to sit in the office till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning and go through the abstracts. And not that there were many faults, I was correcting it, but I was more worried about Dr. Rahmani is coming. He can't tolerate some silly mistakes in the abstract. Okay. So more than you, Dr. Rahmani, because of Dr. Rahmani was coming, I was very tense. So, sir, I request you if you can say a few words.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, students and researchers, and the Director Saab and Dean, everyone. I'll comment on the presentations here. See, wonderful presentation. I learned in two days so much that probably I'll not be able to learn in many months if I read all the books and other things. But it was information overload in many of the presentations. There were too much information. So I would request that when you're giving your presentations, give the highlights of the results. It's not necessary that you have to give all your data. Don't give raw data. And we want to know what are, you can mention the methodology briefly, you can mention the data, but what we are more interested is what are the results. So I would like to, in future, possibly you can do it. Another point is that many of the presenters said IUCN is saying this. What is IUCN? Actually, we provide the information to IUCN. We don't have to take there, because whatever IUCN is saying, it is the information provided by the different countries or species specialists. So if hispid here is IUCN, according to IUCN, it is endangered. Actually, we had provided the data, that's why they are saying it. So I think in future, I think it's much more important that we have to be very careful in that. And another thing is that in some of the slides, it was almost like a thesis, brief summaries of the thesis. And the same thing was in the what is it called, the poster presentations. So much information that you can't even read the whole thing. It is all noise. So I would suggest that, and I'm very grateful for thing. And my last point is that this information is extremely important. It should go to the decision makers, and it should go to the language in which the decision makers understand. They may, even I cannot understand many of the things which were showing it. So the decision makers have to understand. You have to speak the language of the decision makers. Ultimately, it is our aim is that something should be done, or a lot of things should be done for conservation. It is not just publishing papers in so-called peer-reviewed, high-impact journals. You could publish high-impact papers but also publish popular articles, which can be understood by the normal people, normal in the sense the non-scientists or the non-specialists. And another thing is, last point is that you have to read a lot, not only on your subject, but other subjects also. Some of the people whom I interacted, they knew their subject very well, but not the subsidiary or side subjects which they are. These are my some points to the researchers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And finally, I request my teacher and who has groomed a whole lot of wildlife biologists in this country, Dr. Ajit Kumar. Yeah, please.
Oops. Friends, Dr. P.K. Mathur has more or less said everything that I wanted to say and far better than what I can say. I will, however, differ in one issue. One is that he was saying that the teachers, the faculty actually train the students, and that's why they have done very well. I don't think that's, I don't know whether that's true, but because, you know, students have very conveniently opted themselves out of the scoring thing. You don't have to score the teachers. And 3 out of the 4 presentations which went over time were of the teachers, not of the students. so I don't know. So that's, no, that was a joke. So it's wonderful, as PK was saying, wonderful presentations, wonderful learning experience. Thank you very much. So spending 2 days here is like spending 2 years reading. You know, if you want to read papers and understand what is going on, it's going to take a lot of time. And anyway, it's going to take a lot of time before things get published also. Having said that, there are 2 things that I want to say. One was, I think, overlapping with what Madhu and Dr. Ramani was saying, which is information overload. Madhu was saying that there's a lot of information and very little wisdom. And this is true of the slides. And if you see, most of the slides have too many elements in it, too many graphs in it, and too many photographs in it. And I know the 2-dimensional thing, it takes time for us to understand. And if you put a 3-dimensional thing on it, you know, it's going to take, and I think there one presentation at 5 or 6 3-dimensional presentation. Each of these 3-dimensional presentations is going to take us 15 minutes each. So it is not, so this is something that, you know, I know you have, you know, spent 2 years, 3 years, some people 10 years collecting the data and have worked so hard to analyze the data, and you have produced so many graphs which all look so good, and you want to put everything there. And, you know, and that's understandable. But you know, the 15 minutes you have to tell a story, and to tell that story, you need to take out as much as, not take it, put it in, take out as much as possible, and still retain the story as it is. And this is, I suppose, we are all trapped in this technology thing, and the graphs can be made relatively easily, and put it in, and whatever. And you know, I remember, as P.K. Mathur was saying, the first seminar in WI was held in a hall, and it was an overhead projector, and you had to write manually on overhead sheet. So you will think twice before, you know, before you write anything on the sheet. And the most complicated graph that was there was a pie chart. So I don't know if you remember those times. So I was so happy to see a pie chart in a poster outside. I have not seen a pie chart for years. So, I know you can tell a story with a pie chart. Why should you tell with a more complicated graph? You know? So that's something that, you know, simplicity is the essence of the game, and it's easy to understand. So many of the slides, I think, as Dr. Mani was saying, and I think Ajay Saxena was also saying, it just went over our head. There was no time to look at it. Because otherwise these are wonderful stories, but we should not be tied down to, you know, photographs and charts, etc. That's one. Second thing I want to tell is that I did not find, so everything that you do, whether these are research, applied research on development projects or hardcore scientific research, etc., works within a system of knowledge that is there. Yeah. And I'm sure that's how you're thinking, but it did not come on the slides that what do we know now about the system, and are we going to use that information there, or are there gaps that you're going to address? And that should come in the end also, that what did we learn by the end of it? So that's, I think, I think that was a problem reference to previous work and the current systems knowledge that we have. The other thing is this is a thought. I think, I don't know whether when compared to other sciences, whether ecological science is actually really growing in India, or whether I think we have a tendency to grow horizontally. That tiger census has been done in KMDR, but has not been done in Arunachal Pradesh. And it has been done in Arunachal Pradesh, but has not been done in Madhya Pradesh. So that it just goes horizontally. I'm not saying it is irrelevant. It is relevant, but it just grows. Or it has not been done in the last 10 years. So we should do it again. That's what you are doing. We are lost in this horizontal growth. Unlike molecular sciences and physics, etc., we are not really growing vertically, and that's strange. And probably I also wonder that we are lost in numbers. In WI and everywhere, we are lost in this. How many are there? This is sort of agitating us. So everything is about numbers. And regardless, the technology has changed. We are line transect and camera trap and DNA, everything has come, but the question hasn't changed. The question is how many are there? And so that sort of seems to be agitating us. I don't think we should probably move away from this number game. I think somebody, co-chair, raised the issue that why are we not doing, other species, less charismatic species, which I completely agree. And if you look at the projects here, it looks like there are two things. One is the charismatic species, and the second is the charismatic topics. And right now, the charismatic species are the large mammals, perhaps, and the charismatic topic seems to be development projects, those kind of things. I think we should perhaps move away, a little away from I'm not talking about WI as a community of wildlife researchers in India. I think we should move away from that, getting lost in numbers. And otherwise, that's two things I want to say. And otherwise, wonderful presentations. I'm going back as a much, much wiser man than Dave for yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So, with this, may I please request Director WII to give his remarks.
So good evening to all. The chairman of TRAC, Dr. Rajesh Gopal, dignitaries on diet, all my senior officers and scientists, all researchers, everybody present here. So first of all, I'll be very truthful. So when I came to WI, till then I had never heard of ARS. Let's be very frank. And WI never considered to invite us in 32 years of service. So I can only blame it on WI for not inviting us, so I had never heard of it. So, but when last year we organized our ARS, after a gap, I think we could not organize it due to COVID. And then I realized that it is like one of the main event of WI where we showcase our work with everyone. And I recollect that while signing off during last ARS, so I had promised that when next year we assemble here, we will be sitting in a refurbished and renovated auditorium. And I think I kept my promise. And thank you. Thank you all, like all my administration, all the scientists, and everyone, like who also helped me in achieving this dream. And I think it is one of the something which we could achieve it because all of you. Now, considering that it is one of the most important event of WI, this year we thought of really making it big. So we invited Honorable Minister for the inauguration. However, due to some unavoidable reasons, he could not make it. And still, the whole ministry, I would say, from DG, ADG, IG, DIG, and almost everyone from NTCA. And so everyone from the government and NTCA attended this. One more thing which happened, if you see the ministry's program, so ministry gave this opportunity to WII to host the national event. So if you look into the program of ministry, so ARS is one of the important events which ministry has included in their event. ARS, Chief Field Wardens Conference. And let me tell you, when DG was sitting on dais and the publications were released, and our Dean, Dr. Ruchi Badola, made the presentation. He was so impressed with the work of WI that he wanted to say a few words. Because it was not in the program, nobody was supposed to speak, but he couldn't resist and he wanted to appreciate the work of WI. So thank you. I would thank Dean Madam for making such beautiful presentation. So if I understand, given to understand that, I think first time we released, so we decided to release a corporate My stamp, again highlighting the contribution of WII in wildlife conservation. And I don't know how many of you know, the design was by our own researcher. I don't know, you must be able to guess? Yes. So, and he designed it in 24-hour time, okay? So, he was supported by Amir Lone, and the whole idea. So this I had thought almost a year back. So when I was in Mangrove Cell, we had already released 2 special covers. And when I came here, I had mentioned about this almost like a year back, but nothing could happen. But again, I gave this idea to Dr. K. Ramesh and EIS cell, the EISCP cell, so they took it forward. And within very short time, we could do it. So just for you to know, we have spent 12 lakh rupees on it. And this is like branding, I have spent it from corpus. Okay. So another thing is then again we released the special cover as well. So again, like promoting WI, of course it doesn't read promotion, but then again I felt that considering the type of work we are doing, we must also, jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai type thing, you know. And of course, so you don't expect me to really speak on science. I hope you agree to that. Okay. Because if I start speaking on science, then what will you people do then? Okay, so I focus on administration only. So again, we released many publications during our inaugural function. I would especially like to mention about the compilation of the research articles by Dr. Manohar Pathak, our librarian. It's a compilation of 4 decades work. It's almost like more than 980 pages document. So, and that too, it was not that we told him to do it. It was his own initiative. So we must appreciate that. Then again, I would like to congratulate Dr. Parag Nigam for the beautiful film. And of course, the reintroduction of Gaur in Sanjay Dubri, and of course, the way it was presented. So now we also have, so earlier we had one hero, Dr. Bilal, now we have another one, Dr. Nigam. So we need more and more such heroes. Another thing is that I'm very happy that MOFCC felicitated Professor Qureshi. For his almost 3 decades work, who is due to superannuate in this month. I congratulate all the faculty and researchers who made presentations here, even poster presentation. Their presentations were just fabulous, amazing. I only think good that I don't have to make these presentations, but I can only copy paste from Word to these slides. Can't do more than that. So I'm so relieved that we don't have to do that. So, like already Dr. Pandav mentioned, we got the sponsors. So last year we started with just taking some help. They were getting some prizes from them. But this year we raised more than 17 lakhs from sponsorship. Though it was only 1/3 of the target. But okay, it's a good beginning. So basically we want to make it such a way, the way, you know, BCCI sells the cricket. So for the rights, you just get money. So we want this to be not dependent on granting aid. We should be able to raise money and do it much better than what we did this time. I would like to put on record my sincere appreciation to Research Coordinator, Dr. Vibhash Pandav, and Associate Research Coordinator, Dr. Vishnu Priya, and the whole team for just conducting the way it has been conducted. lot of hard work has gone into it, and I'm very happy that we pulled it through successfully. And lot of credit to IT cell. To the whole IT cell, Dr. Gautam in charge of IT cell, everyone. I may sound like giving a vote of thanks, but sorry, I won't. I will fail in my duties if I don't mention it. So, even the maintenance of campus around the auditorium when we are planning, so all your FTO and all engineering and support staff, they have done wonderful job. So the way it is last ARS of Professor Qureshi, it will be my last ARS as Director WI. And thank you all for raising the bar. And I would be very happy to come back, but anyway, our research coordinator will have to pay for my travels. Okay, so I congratulate in advance all those who will be awarded with the prizes for their presentation, both IRS as well as ARS, and also the photography event. Well, and again, I know I think the much awaited part is tomorrow, 6 p.m. And having done so much of hard work, so it is holiday for researchers for tomorrow. But this, but the same doesn't apply to faculty. Also to MSc students and diploma students, because I cannot interfere in their timetable. Okay. So again, see you tomorrow evening. Thank you. Bye.
Well, now can I request my colleague Amarjit to come and start one of the most exciting things for this ARS. So we had a lovely event in terms of more than 1,000 entries for our photo contest. So Amarjit has taken all the pain of organizing all those things. So she will be playing some of the photos, and then we'll declare the results. Vinodji, if we can switch up the lights to see the photos better. So I request Vishnu to please announce the winners of this photo competition. Vishnu, just before you announce the photo competition winners, for all of you, the Jais outlet that you saw, all of us know about Jais brand. I'm not promoting Jais here. Many of us wear Jais lenses also, use Jais camera, or the mobiles also have Jais lenses. So they have sponsored a gift for all the winners. So we have 7 winners from the 7 categories, 1 winner each from each category, and they will be, Jais will be providing a lens cleaning kit to all the winners. And besides that, Director WI has agreed to give a book prize of 2,500 rupees each to each of the winners. Sorry, 3,000 rupees.
So the first category is Flora and Fauna. The first prize goes to Mr. Rajdeep Mitra. The next category is Field Research in Action, and the winner is Avinash Yadav. The next category is non-theme photograph, and the winner is Shashank Nagarali. The next category is Camera Trap Pictures, and the winner is Pooja Kumari. The next category was drone photography, and the winner was Mr. Sagar Rajputar. The next category is mobile photography. I don't know how many lens cleaning kits you have, Sagar, now. Then you are the winner in this category as well. The next category is of short videos, and the winner is Manas Shukla.
Let's go to Venice. A man that can move is what a girl wants. Allo Avni, allo Avni, allo Avni, allo Avni. Let's stay up all night talking love here in the morning. Jack will have chill and everything will be just fine.
So we had 4 evaluators who evaluated all the presentations. So I request them to come on the dais, and director and track chairman to give them a token honor. So may I please request Dr. M.D. Madhusudan. I request Dr. Jagdish Krishnaswamy. So many of you don't know Dr. Jagdish and me, we joined as a faculty together at this institute. In 1999, couple of years after that, Dr. Jagdish left us and went to Bangalore, but he still keeps coming back, and he has been teaching our MSc freshwater ecology students. Thank you, Dr. Jagdish. But those days, Dr. Jagdish had a lot of hair. So may I please request Dr. Ajit Kumar? So Dr. Ajit Kumar had a long journey from WIA. He went to SACON in Coimbatore. From SACON, he came to Bangalore and started the NCBS MSc course in wildlife science and ran it for almost 2 decades there. So, and he's the one who was talking about information overload, but he taught us statistics. Huh? And may I please request Dr. Rahmani, Asad R. Rahmani, former director of Bombay Natural History Society, and an ecologist, natural historian, and a wildlife biologist par excellence. So, but thing is, so Dr. Rahmani wanted to be anonymous. He didn't want his name to be revealed, बड़ी छोटी सी दुनिया और इसके अंदर ये छोटी सी हॉल है, कहाँ कैसे निकल सकते हैं हमारे निगाहें से सर. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, Vishnu, please do the honor of internal annual research seminar, both poster and oral presentation.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sorry. Before we go ahead, the photography.
I just would like to mention all the photographs were evaluated, judged by Sri Prasenjit Yadav. Prasen is a very famous natural history photographer. Right now, he judged all your photographs sitting in Simlipal Tiger Reserve. So he had to come to a point, Hello Point in Simlipal. He is staying in a place called Bhanjabasa in Simlipal. So you have to travel some 3 kilometers, come to a point. So he downloaded all the images and evaluated all the images as well as the reels within a day's time and then got back to us. So sincere thanks to Prasenjit for all the things.
First, we'll announce the results of the internal annual research seminar oral presentations. So, I think I should announce in reverse order. So, the third prize in the oral presentations from the internal annual research seminar goes to Poojan Kumar Pradhan from the Campa Dugong team. I request Poojan and his principal investigators to kindly come on the dais. Sorry, from IDW's Red Panda project. I'm really sorry, yes. Come on, Poojan. I thought it was Campa Dugong. So Poojan gets a book prize of 2,500 rupees, which along with his certificate of merit. The second prize goes to Rajdeep Mitra, who's working with Dr. Suresh. The title of the... Yes, sir. I did. So, Rajdeep Mitra's title was Pakshi Pitti, and Insights into the Nesting Seabird Population of the North Indian Ocean. Dr. Suresh is also requested to come on the dais. So, Rajdeep gets a book prize of rupees 3,000 along with his certificate of merit. The first prize goes to Sumit Prajapati from Campa Dugong. I request Sumit and his PIs from Campa Dugong to kindly come on the dais. So Sumit gets a camera trap from Carl Zeiss. We now move to the annual research seminar poster presentations. So the third prize goes to Akash Agarwal and Sagar Rajpurkar. Beyond the Shoreline, Strengthening Marine Protection with UAV Training. So Akash and Sagar also get a book prize of rupees 2,500. The second prize goes to Nonita Rana, Bird Life in the Ghats, exploring the avifauna around the Kaiga nuclear power plant. I request Nonita and her PI to kindly come on the dais. So Nonita also gets a book prize of rupees 3,000. The first prize in the poster presentation goes to Manisha Matela, Plan Strategies and Linking Functional Traits to Phenology in the Himalaya. So Manisha also gets a Carl Zeiss camera trap. So for the oral presentations in the annual research seminar, the third prize goes to Bitpan Barua. I request him and his PI to kindly come onto the dais. Dr. Abhijit. So Bitpan gets a book prize. The second prize goes to Shri Kumar from Cochin to Providence, Molecular Insights into Indian One-Horned Rhino Population. Her PI, Dr. Samrat, is also requested. So Shri gets a book prize of rupees 3,000. So the first prize in the oral presentations gets a Carl Zeiss binocular, Terra ED 42. So the winner of the first prize, I'm not trying to delay it on purpose. The first prize goes to Dr. Tushna Karkaria from the GIB project. Diyash sir, over to you.
Well, congratulations to all the winners and everyone. I mean, you made it. It was a very tough thing. And some of the evaluators have given 97, 98, 97, 98, so very difficult to judge. Anyway, thank you so much. Sir, may I please invite Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Chairman, Training Research Academic Council, to give his remarks.
My esteemed colleague and Director WI, Viren Tiwari ji, Dr. Ruchi Badola, Dean, Dr. Vivash Pandav ji,
senior officers who are with us today here, dear young researchers, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed very nostalgic as well as a very pleasant task for me to be here with you all in this institute. And I passed out, just for historical information, I was the 4th diploma trainee when this was housed at the FRA and colleges, FRA building. To start with, let me, of course, you have been hearing people since the morning, since the last 2 days. I'll be very brief, highlight certain things. So, I mean, I'll come to that. But let me first say something good about Kamar. So, Kamar officially is superannuating. I've had a very long association with Kamar, more than I think almost 3 decades. So one of the finest scientists, a brilliant scientist. I've learnt a lot from him, along with Dr. Jala. So we'll be certainly missing him, but he'll be around. So and that's what I wanted to say to start with. Then I also compliment the director, Viren Tiwari ji, for his hard work and for improving the governance, overall governance of the institute, which is a very difficult task. And compliment him profusely for getting recognition by the commission, on capacity building. I mean, outscoring the police academy. WIS got the first award, the first recognition, whatever you call it. So heartiest congratulations, Tiwari ji. Then I also compliment Vivash Pandav sahab for sincerely doing this, along with, of course, his team and you guys, everyone. So it was a very well organized seminar. We could here learn a lot from you people. And all your 7 themes and the papers which were presented in those themes, they are in conformity with the CBD targets, our commitments towards that, and the SDG goals as well. Of course, they'll fit in somewhere, but they are relevant, very much relevant. Now, while on this, a few words about the research gaps, which you must be knowing already. Many people out here, like Dr. P.K. Mathur, he also highlighted a bit. So I'll also highlight a bit. It's relevant here. As far as South Asia, Southeast Asian region is concerned, the research gaps which are globally recognized, are something like this. There's paucity of species-specific data spanning across several taxa, and some presentations, very impressive ones, were made. Climate change impacts on biodiversity, human-wildlife conflicts, you covered that. Landscape level conservation, mention was made. Invasive species, it was not figuring this time. Last time it was there. Marine and freshwater ecosystem, you did cover. Then role of indigenous knowledge. Then policy and governance, we need to work on this as well. Then urbanization and wildlife. The urban fauna remains unaddressed. We need to know more, especially during the pandemic era, because of the interface between urban and rural and forest, the transmission is there. So even your DDA park in Delhi, they may have a sylvatic cycle of their own. So then the pandemics, and the dilution effect of protected areas or the reserve forests or whatever forest growth you have, and the linkage synergy with landscape epidemiology. So this calls for a lot of veterinary inputs, and the insights would be valuable. So these were some of the regional gaps. Then comes the challenge of doing more, knowing more, getting more research insights on how to harness conservation, in situ conservation and development. See, development, we can't wish away with development. We need development, but development comes at some kind of a cost. So you know all about that. So some of the themes here which require research insights are: number one, landscape level approach. So many definitions are there, so much has been written, but what is relevant to us you need to codify. Lot of centrifugal approach is there, experiences are there, you can collect data, some kind of project you can think of. Then bring in systems thinking. CDL, there are 8 or 9 methodologies. I'm not here to give that lecture to you right now, but it's very, very important now, because the landscapes are transforming at a terrible speed. So urbanization, then rural getting into urban parcels, and then forest getting into rural parcels. So all these things are getting changing fast. The dynamics is important to us if we want to arrest the biodiversity loss. Envision something 50 years from now. So you have to start getting some data so that you can tell that in very simple language to people who are at the ministry, who are somewhere at the implementation stage. Please do all this. So that was one thing. Causal linkage and so many things are there. Then scenario logics. You take up some research topics relating to that. A lot of valuable things, what existed here, what it will happen, assume different hypothetical situations, and then envision what should work, what should not work, and what is recommended, what it is not recommended for the future. Then integrated land use, we have heard about it, more research things are required. Then second one is sustainable agriculture and forestry. Interface, big gap is there. We don't know how many sylvatic and forestry cycles are overlapping. Then green infrastructure. And not the smart green infrastructure, just green infrastructure, how best it can be put to use. We don't have much data. Then nature-based economics, green GDP, where is the data with us? How many models do we have? WI should take it up, we should have a faculty. All this will require grant support and money, I understand. In track we face a lot of problems, we are running, I'm just listing out all this so that you can develop this more. Sustainable energy and industry, and then strategic planning and DIA. A few more topics for you. Incentivizing conservation through policy changes and enabling legislation. We do need some advice here. I mean, you can't put a price tag on nature, so much has been written. We do the Campa thing, but you are the best place to advise the ministry. Some things, you can't put a price tag. They need to be there because they have to be there as part of the ecosystem. You can't say so many $1 billion and we can part with this. Things may come to that stage later globally. So we need to get alerted right now. Then capacity building, whether it is community stewards, common citizen. As a citizen science, how best you can involve the citizens. Some research is called for. Climate resilient practices in the buffer areas of tiger reserves. And last but not the least, nobody spoke about the stress continuum. Man cost, human cost stress continuum, whether it's development or agriculture or all our forests are right burdened. So there is a stress. People spoke about, presented about stress, but you have to develop that continuum, you have to codify how to structure what data you should collect, and it will vary from site to site. So these are some of the thematic areas I thought I'll just speak and list out. So your presentations were good, as many learned people have said. Let's not lose our wisdom in pursuit of knowledge. So it's good to have more information, but make it very simple, like what most of I mean, you might have read Alice in the Wonderland. Lewis Carroll, the author, says, somewhere simpler solution is the best solution. So if we put lot of things, people may avoid it. So say it in a word, just like what our Vedanta philosophy, you have just one liner with 4 words. You can, the learned people will interpret it in their own way. So the presentation should not be more than 8 to 10 slides. And they are very good, and you have used all the technology to do that. But I mean, the people who are hearing it, they should say, please say more on this. So you should stop at that stage. So that was thing, otherwise they were very good. So a few more things, and this was also highlighted by several people. See, whatever insights you get, as Vaibhav, so many people said, it needs to figure in the working plan code if it's a forest area. It needs to figure in the management plan guidelines if it's protected area related. It also needs to figure in the TCP guidelines. Otherwise, what sort of a legitimacy it will get? It should get codified. So for every project, the outcome, whatever you do while you submit the project for getting a grant, when you complete it and you close the project, come out with a 1-pager, 5 or 6 actionable things which emanate from that project, and convey this to your director, and from there it should go to the ministry or to the NTCA. That was one thing. And citizen science is important in All India Tiger estimation. Attempt has been made. NTCA and Wildlife Institute, they are collaborating to reach out to people in that 8-day protocol, and also the front line is actively involved. But as many pointed out, the interface should be there, so that the front line as well as the DFO level people, range officers, they are in touch, they are updated with all these happenings little bit, whatever can be comprehended, not the heavy stuff. Then lastly, several good presentations were made on in the context of Maharashtra human bear, this thing, conflict and so on. So they were good, but then we came out ultimately stating the obvious. Say something more. It's not a criticism, it's just a friendly suggestion. Did you sing those things with the NTFP collection? All of forests in Brahmapuri and other areas are right burdened. Madhya Pradesh, UP, Uttarakhand. Forest office, you should come out with certain things which an average forest officer can implement. So otherwise the findings are good, very encouraging, keep it up. And then everyone knows, all of us are aware, Anthropocene age, lot of transformations, inevitable, it's a global thing. So this calls for adaptive research. Finally, I would like to say, there are several presentations on adaptive research I could see today, especially human, wildlife, this, that. In fact, several of them, actionable insights will come out of them. So it should be a bit open-ended and little site-specific, so that it's useful and it can result in a good adaptive management. So I stop here, and it's getting late for you as well. You have been hearing people. Thank you once again, and my compliments to all participants. Heartiest congratulations to winners. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Well, before the final thing, after this nothing, I mean, we'll go for dinner. Before I give the vote of thanks, the formal vote of thanks, sir, I would like to mention two things. All of us told that it is the last ARS of Professor Kamar Qureshi as serving faculty, and director himself told his last ARS. But all of us forgot that it is also as serving faculty, it is also the last ARS of Dr. Satyakumar. And I don't blame it on anyone, because Kamar Sahab has grey hairs. Director sir also has. Dr. Satyakumar doesn't have. So no one can think that he is going to retire. So it was not inadvertently we forgot. We just can't fathom the fact that he is going to retire. So, and the second thing, between the last ARS and this ARS, the Wildlife Institute of India lost one of the stalwarts of wildlife conservation in this country. We don't have Dr. Asir Jawahar Thomas Johnson with us. He passed away on 7th of June. And some of my colleagues requested that we should have a silence, we should keep silence for some time. I beg to differ a little bit. The best way to remember Dr. Johnson is to go back and walk in the jungle. And we are going to do that right away. Tomorrow morning, all our diploma trainees, early morning diploma trainees with some of my faculty colleagues, we are leaving for the jungle walk for next 5-6 days. Okay, so we'll remember Dr. Johnson. We are going on the walk that he just loved walking in those areas. Okay. Oh yes. So I will begin the formal vote of thanks, but I request Chairman Track and Director WI to give me little liberty to be little informal in this very formal vote of thanks. Okay. So let me begin the vote of thanks with my colleague Dr. Vishnu Priya Kolipakam. And we missed you during the internal annual research seminar. And before the annual research seminar, she was not here. She was in Peru with director and ADG Wildlife. And the moment she came back from Peru, both director was in his office and Vishnu Priya is in my office. And both of them were jet lagged, terribly jet lagged. So looking at Vishnu Priya, I also felt very sleepy. I told, no, Vishnu, you go home, come back tomorrow, we'll start working. So she has been tirelessly working ever since she came back from Peru. The forenoon session, the Wildlife Week celebration, I quietly moved out. I couldn't deal with all these videos, photos, and all these things. I told Vishnu, do it. And she has, whatever work has happened behind the scene, Vishnu has quietly did that. Big thank you, Vishnu. We really appreciate it. And another lady, I don't see her here right now, who has actually made this ARS very glamorous, Swasti Joshi, who till recently worked with the institute but has started her own farm now. So all these poster design, this ID thing that you see, everything that Swasti has designed, and the entire show for Wildlife Week celebration was put up by Swasti and one of our research scholars, Naitik Patel. And Naitik came up as a volunteer and stitched together all the photos, everything with lot of pressure. Mr. Jagania was sitting on Naitik's head. Ye theek nahi ho raha hai, wo theek nahi ho raha hai. Naitik is a cool customer. He just did it in a fabulous manner, and thanks to Naitik for all these things. I would like to extend my thanks to all the support staff who have been tirelessly working in this ARS. I will begin with Santosh Kumar, Devendra Singh, Surendra Singh, Ashok Singh, Umed Singh, Sambhu, Sachin, Pritam Singh, Mohan Singh, and Rajendra Singh. So they have been there in this ARS hall, both inside as well as outside. And it has been a tough job managing all the guests coming from the airport, dropping them back to the airport sometime middle of the night. And the guests who came yesterday, especially the award winners. And I thank Anushka of the FTO section, Ram Singh, Just one phone call, Ram Singh is on the job. Then Niranjan Prasad. They have done a wonderful job from the FTO section. And from the research recruitment and placement cell, Alka Agrawal, Jyoti Prasad Nautiyal, Aparna Goyal, Farhan Ahmed, Rakesh Sundriyal, Poonam Sati, Neha Aswal, and Survi Kohli. So you have been managing this very well. Director has already given his appreciation for the IT cell. I once again express my sincere thanks to Dr. Pannalal, Mr. Vinod Verma, Dinesh Singh Pundir, Harendra Kumar, Gaurav Bunyal, Ankit Singh, and Vipin Tiwari. Wonderful job you have done, and we are truly grateful to you for making this such a good event, grand event. Coming back to my colleagues, this is a fantastic place. I never realized how this ARS happened. I was very relaxed thanks to my colleagues. And a lot of tension was shared by Ritesh and Prasant. So they were the ones who were looking after the transport arrangement. So we were talking that we should felicitate Ritesh and Gautam. I told, yes, I will go and buy Hot Wheel cars and give it to them so that they will keep looking the vehicle transport all the time. Okay, thanks Ritesh and thanks Prasant for all the help. And believe me, it would have been next to impossible for me to conduct this ARS without my colleague's help, Dr. Parag Nigam. He was always a star. Director has already declared him a star. But since yesterday evening, he has become a superstar. Okay. मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि superstar, lot of request has come for your movie. So I have to send this movie. I will give it to you. You will send to all those people. Or so the other thing about Dr. Nigam, एक चीज़ तो पक्का है, retirement के बाद कोई कहाँ बुलाए ना बुलाए, event management is assured. Both I will help you, assist you in doing the event management. Thanks Dr. Nigam for all the help. Truly appreciate it. ये जो बहुत स्वादिष्ट खाना हम खा रहे हैं पिछले 2 दिन से, कल भी खिलाएंगे रात को. All thanks to the catering committee, especially Dr. Sandeep Gupta and Dr. Tanvir Ahmed. ये जितना पनीर और सब्जी आप खा रहे हैं संदीप की देन है, और जितने बकरे और मुर्गे ने जान दिए हैं वो तनवीर की देन है. ठीक है? So much appreciated. I really appreciate the help of my colleagues, Dr. Bilal Habib, for steering this entire program and steering committee, Dr. K. Ramesh, for rigorously going through the rehearsal session. Faculties were exempted from rehearsal, so you could see the result. It has already been told by Dr. Ajit Kumar, so Ramesh, you have done a good job, fabulous job. And all the members of other committees, cleanliness committee, reception committee, if I am forgetting other committees, all the members of the committees have done a fabulous job in making this ARS a great success. I thank my sincere thanks to all the evaluators for readily agreeing. Just one phone call or one WhatsApp message, all of you agreed. I mean, there is no I'll see, let me check. There was nothing. Yes, I will come. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Madhusudan, Jagdish, Dr. Ajit, and Dr. Rahmani for readily agreeing to be with us and evaluating. And sitting here for last 2 days until 8:30 now. Sri Prasenjit Yadav, the noted photographer, I have already told, sitting in Simlipal, he judged all the photographs. Thanks to Prasenjit. Dr. Gopi GV and Amarjit shared all the burden. So that's why I say this is such a fabulous place. You just have to look at somebody, they are ready to help you. Okay, you don't even have to ask. Vidyadhar has been asking me, how can I help you? How can I help you? I've been thinking, क्या मदद करना है विद्याधर से, क्या मदद लेना है. Thanks Gopi, thanks Amarjit for your help. I thank the gold sponsors of this ARS, A&S Creation, the silver sponsors of this ARS, Kadiback and Vectronics, the bronze sponsor of the ARS, Ahuja Sons, and the other people who have come forward and supported us. Director told 1/3. Sir, you had given me a target of 30, so 17. Sir, अभी बढ़ा दिया आप sir. 30 से 17.5. Sir, ministry से अगर 26 आएगा, we have exceeded your expectation. Anyway, sir, thank you very much. And Carl Jais was kind enough to give you all the gifts in the jute bag. So please use them. Lovely binocular, lovely lens cleaning kits, and the bag also use it on a daily basis. Thanks to Carl Jais for coming up, and we look forward to more active engagement with you. I would like to thank Chairman Track, Registrar WIA, Dean WIA, and finally Director WIA. Sir, you have been following up each and everything very meticulously and making us work and making us deliver. And finally, all the MSc students who have come forward and readily volunteered. There is a very nice incident happened last year. One of our MSc student, I'm forgetting her name, who worked in Prakriti. So she worked in Spiti with Salvador. So she was standing near the food counter and was not eating. And I was feeling very sorry. Everyone is going and eating and Prakriti is standing there. So I asked her, why are you not eating? She told me, sir, don't worry, I have already eaten before. So our MSc students, I am sure, have done the same thing, following her footsteps. And finally, I would like to thank all the research scholars for leaving such a lasting impression in all our minds through your brilliant presentations. And you have made all of us very proud. Thank you. So now we'll go, dinner is waiting. So please go and do justice to the food. Somebody has left a pen drive.